I'm going to share some very important things that may change your opinion about moving to Myrtle Beach. Let's get started. What's happening, guys? It's Jeremy Blanton with RE/MAX Southern Shores, and today I want to go over some important things that I have learned living here in the area and things that you really want to think about before you make that move to Myrtle Beach. We're going to discuss some of the crazy things that I have found about living here in the area. I'm now a local considered by time spent here at just over 20 years living in the Myrtle Beach area, and these are some of the things that I didn't always understand before moving here. The first thing that I wanted to talk about today, and I've mentioned this before, is the extremely low property taxes that we have here in the area. But here's the thing that you have to realize. In addition to the low property taxes, there is another fee that you're going to have to pay every year, and that has to do with your vehicle. This is a tax that is collected annually whenever you go to register your vehicle for the next year. Now, it can get a little expensive depending on the make and model of your car, but I can tell you this, as your vehicle value depreciates, so does that annual fee. For example, my wife used to drive an old Honda Odyssey. It was around $85 a year for that vehicle. It was extremely affordable. Currently, I drive a 2015 Ford Explorer, and I paid for my taxes this last year $362. In fact, here's a copy of the bill that you can see how it all breaks down in our area. Because this is used for commercial use, this vehicle fee is a little bit higher than if it was your personal vehicle. Here's the thing that you have to realize. If you put together your property tax with your vehicle tax, you're still going to come out way ahead of people who may live up in the Northeast that are paying anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 a year on property taxes. Down here, combined together, my taxes are only about $1,600 for a year. So yes, you pay a tax on your vehicle, but at the end of the day, you're still saving a ton of money. The next thing on the list that I wanted to talk about is how important it is to understand your roads and know when you should or should not get on certain ones. For example, if I have to go out to Conway to do something, I do not under any circumstance want to have to take 501 to come back to the beach on a Friday afternoon. If I have to by some reason, it's going to add easily an extra 45 minutes to an hour or more to make that trip back. I remember back in the day when I used to go to school at Coastal Carolina that I would have to take 501 to get out there because there were no extra roads to take around. Route 22 didn't exist, Highway 31 was not around, and even the overpasses on 501 were not in place. So I would have to leave my home 3 hours prior to my first class just to make sure I got there in plenty of time. Sometimes there may be an accident on the road or just smooth sailing, but I never knew which one it would be, and so in order to make sure I made it on time to class, I had to leave way ahead. The same thing is true for down on Highway 544. As you get to the end of it where it enters and dumps off onto 17, you don't want to go on that road on a Saturday afternoon because all of the new RVs and campers are coming into town that stay at Ocean Lakes and Lakewood Campground and the Myrtle Beach State Park are there, and that road can back up for miles and miles of traffic. So you learn the roads real quick, which ones to avoid and the times to do it, and then you're also going to start to learn the ones that are going to help you to really cut time off of your trip. Roads like Highway 31, Route 22, and one of my new favorites for getting to Conway, International Drive. These roads are lifesavers to your day and will definitely help cut time off of your trips. The next thing on the list that I wanted to talk about is that hospitality runs the Myrtle Beach area. You know, over 80% of all the income that comes into our area is through the hospitality industry. It's an over $7 billion industry here in our area. So if you're moving to Myrtle Beach and you're looking for a job in a factory or some sort of an industry type job, you're not going to find those here in our area. If you're okay though working in a restaurant or a hotel, this is a great spot to move to, and there's definitely options and places to do that. Here's the other part with that hospitality industry. During the summertime, there are tons and tons of people in the Myrtle Beach area. Millions of people come on vacation here every single year. But during the off season, it's like a ghost town. You can get around. And so it's a great spot to come and check out in the off season especially. The next thing on our list that I want to make sure is clear is this. When it comes to public transportation in our area, it is non-existent. Yes, there are a few public buses that run around town, but honestly, if you're expecting to move to our area and live here without having a car to get around, you're not going to be able to do much traveling through the area. I deal with people all the time who are thinking about making a move here from like New York City and other big cities across the country, and that's one of the things they ask me. Can I live in an oceanfront condo down on the beach and not need a car to get around? Of course, I can just take public transportation. And I explain to them, well, there's really not a lot of public transportation to get around. Their next thing they say is, not a problem, I'll take a taxi. Well, you can do that if you want, but there's not a lot of those either. Then they say, well, it's not a problem, I will just use Uber or Lyft to get around town. But here's the reality. These days, there's not a lot of Uber and Lyft rides around the area. I had someone the other day who was arguing with me about it, and I said, look, let me show you what I mean. I pulled out my Uber app, I opened it up, and I said, I need a ride to get home to my house right now. I couldn't get in the X, I couldn't get in an XL, I couldn't even get in a ride share. None of them were available in our area, and I had to wait 30 minutes so I could get one to actually show up to be an option. So if you live here in the area and you're thinking, hey, I'm gonna be able to just take Uber or Lyft to get around, that's not gonna be an option either. If you try to stay with that, you're gonna spend easily an extra 30 minutes to an hour every single time you take a trip. The other thing you have to realize is this, it's going to get incredibly expensive really fast. Everything here in the Myrtle Beach area is pretty well spread out. So you may have something that's nice and nearby, and then you want to go to a grocery store. That's going to be miles and miles away. And so you're going to spend a fortune traveling to the grocery store, back home, traveling to the doctor, traveling to the beach, traveling to the movies, wherever you want to go. It's going to get incredibly expensive really fast. So my suggestion, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on a vehicle or vehicle taxes, get you a small little run around town vehicle, save the money, and you will have a much better life here in the area. The next thing that I want to talk about is if you're thinking about moving to the area, you can save a ton of money by living in a nearby town to the Myrtle Beach city limits. A lot of people thinking of the Myrtle Beach area think they have to be inside the city limits in order to have that Myrtle Beach address. Here's the thing to remember, just like any large city across the country, Myrtle Beach has neighboring towns that people associate all still as part of Myrtle Beach. So if you live, for example, in Carolina Forest, or Little River or Longs, or Murrells Inlet, or even Conway, you can save a ton of money. The thing that I always tell people is this, the closer you get to the big blue ocean, prices are going to start to go up exponentially. Why? The cost of the dirt alone is much more expensive. So you can take that same home that you could buy inside Myrtle Beach, take it out towards Conway, and probably save $50,000 to $100,000 on the purchase price. Yes, you have a little bit of a drive every day, but I can make the drive to save that kind of money. Now, these last three things that I want to talk about, these are some things that I didn't quite understand when getting to the area, but I'm hoping that by me sharing this information with you, it'll help you look more like a local when you get to the area and help you acclimate to living in Myrtle Beach much faster. The first one on that list is Palmetto Pride. Palmettos. There are tons of different varieties of palm trees here in our area. Everything from a bush all the way up through nice, large, beautiful, lush, tall trees. I don't understand, but people are really proud of the palm tree here in our area. Not only do they put them in their yards, but they also get it put on just about every single thing you can think of. From t-shirts to hats to koozies to on their license plate, you name it. Palms are found all over the place. In fact, I recently saw a study that said the palms tree and the palmetto flag is more recognizable than some countries across the world. According to Yahoo Travel, the South Carolina state flag was given the best state flag in America. People really love those palm trees. The next thing that you need to realize is the terminology that people use when talking to you here. If somebody's a true local native of South Carolina, they're going to use manners and things that you may have never heard of before, because when they were a child, they were taught to always use manners, to be respectful. So I wasn't quite used to it, but I get called sir an awful lot. And in the beginning I used to say, listen, I'm not sir, that's my dad you're talking about. But I've realized over the years that it's an okay thing. I found myself even over the years saying to people, sweetheart or honey. So There's definitely some terms that you're gonna want to learn, and here's the one that I will teach you for sure. Bless your heart. That is not necessarily them saying something sweet towards you. In fact, it's kind of more the opposite. You're saying something that they don't quite agree with, and instead of just saying, you're an idiot, they say, bless your heart. They're trying to be in a nice way, say, we don't quite agree with you. And the last thing that I wanted to share today, this one I don't quite understand, but what the heck is with boiled peanuts? You know, when we would take our trips down to the south from Pennsylvania, we would go past these roadside stands once we got into South Carolina that would say boiled peanuts, boiled peanuts, boiled peanuts. And I never understood what the heck they were. But I remember once, we finally stopped at a truck stop and I saw boiled peanuts for the first time. And I begged and pleaded for my parents to get me some. And I was so excited to get these things and try them. And I took the first bite. Oh, it was horrible. To me, it tasted almost like drinking dishwater and eating something mushy. What people do here in the South is they take peanuts, they put them in a crock pot or in a pot on the stove, and they boil them for a long time to where they become this soft, mushy mess to deal with. But it is a delicacy to those who live here in the South. My wife, she absolutely loves eating them. My friends that are here from the area, they love boiled peanuts. So be careful when you try them, be prepared, and who knows, you may love them or you may be like me and think you're drinking dish soap. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video talking about things you really need to know before moving to the Myrtle Beach area. If so, give it a thumbs up, get that bell on, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.